I'll call this meeting to order. It's the Breezy Point City Council for Monday, June 1st. It's a regular meeting. First order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, welcome everybody. Another one of our Zoom meetings where people can listen in from outside. This is getting to be kind of trying on everybody's nerves, but we'll get through it. Okay. First order of business is the consent agenda. Well, first thing I want to do is we have an addition to the agenda. Under administrative and staff reports, we'll be adding item E, which will be advertised for public works position, and we'll talk about that when we get to it. So that will be under, it'll be 7E on your agendas. So, under the consent agenda, we have council minutes from the May 4th council meeting. We have approval of claims totaling $130,873.20, which is electronic checks 2537E through 2593E, and paper checks 135995 through 136021, and 136024 through 136048. Is there anything on the consent agenda that anybody would like to discuss separately? Michael?
No.
Gary?
No.
Rebecca?
No.
Gary?
No, sir.
All those in favor of the...
Have a motion or a second?
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as written.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Further discussion? Nobody? Okay. All those in favor of the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Consent agenda is approved as written. Next item is open forum. Anybody wishing to come before the council and speak to open forum may do so at this point. We do have one email that was requested to be read into the record during open forum. It is from Alan Javinsky, whose address is 1530 Xerxes Avenue North in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And he owns a property at 30103 Circle Drive. He says, on April 28th, I mailed the below copy of a request for information to the city planner and city administrator. To date, I have not received any reply. Minnesota statute requires a response in 10 working days, or the issue can be elevated to the Commissioner of Administration for enforcement. Please attend to this matter. And then he has the attached Minnesota statute 1303 subdivision 3, as well as his original email. I've already received this and have discussed it with the city administrator, and we are in process of responding to that. So that will be done later. Anybody else for open forum? Okay. Next item is mayor and city council reports. I want to make sure everybody is cognizant of the new city hall sign out in front. It is beautiful. I really, really like it. I've had a lot of favorable comments already, and we're just in the process of getting the lettering up there for City Hall, and it's got the backlighting, although I haven't seen the backlighting yet. I need to make a trip over here in the dark to be able to see that. Another thing is that with things opening up, I will be starting my office hours again this week, starting on 6/3 from 8 to noon, and we'll have a process in place for people to come in and to visit with the mayor. I think that would be a really good thing to do. Council members, Gary, I'll start with you.
Yes, sir. Cemetery met on its appointed hour. Had a good meeting, everybody was there. A new chair has been elected. Barb Donovan volunteered again. And of note for the council and the planner, administrator, I should say, and mayor, they again cried out for help. Jason Baca, who has attended to that, as you folks know, for quite a few years and has been very generous to the city, cost-wise. But they're struggling and able to get through this year, they said. Next year, they're going to have to turn to the council and administrator, mayor, et cetera, for some help. Wherever that comes from, I don't know. I was very pleased to see we're advertising for another Publix worker. Full-time, I would assume, is that right?
Yeah, we'll get to that later.
Good, all right. That leads a little bit of hope there, and that's all I have.
If you're going to cover the cemetery committee now, it would be appropriate time to ask the council to officially cancel butterfly release.
Thank you for keeping me honest. That's why we have him. That was one of the items, and forgive me for the oversight, but it is officially canceled, unfortunately, and we all know why. It's a wonderful thing that we have here at our city, and it will be back in spades, I can assure you, God willing, next year.
So as such, I will entertain a motion to approve the cancellation of the butterfly release for 2020 as recommended by the Cemetery Commission. Is
So moved.
there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? Rebecca? Gary? Michael? No. All those in favor of canceling the butterfly release for 2020, please say aye.
Aye.
This is something I'm really kind of sorry to see because the butterfly release is one of the major fundraisers for the cemetery. And by not having that this year, their finances are going to be a little bit hurting. So, anything else, Gary?
No, sir.
Rebecca?
No, I don't have it.
Gary?
No.
Michael?
I'll just, would like to make one mention. I can't recall if I said it last time, so it's worth repeating. I've played the disc golf course a number of times this year already. I just want to give huge thanks to the Public Works Department for maintaining it. Every time I go out there, I meet new players that are playing it. I ask them how they enjoy it, and everybody really enjoys this course. An 18-hole disc golf course in the Lakes area is a great asset, and it's a fun course to play. So just want to say thanks to the Public Works for keeping that up to date, and it's a great course. If you ever get a chance, you can at least walk it for a little nature trail, but it's a hike.
Okay. Committee reports. Let's start with the road committee.
Yes,
Michael,
on
Gary?
on the 21st, the road committee met, and if you look in your notes, there's everything we talked about is covered here, but there was a few things I wanted to highlight. One was we have this agreement with Ideal Township as far as plowing Aussie Road, but there was some thought, and I'm not sure, Michael says it's already in there, the present agreement, but we felt that when this agreement expires, we might strongly consider that we will plow Sunset Strip and Graff Road. So if we're already doing it, there was some displeasure with it, and I felt we should let them know that we're gonna make more effort to plow that properly. Then Antlers, White Birch paving acquisition. There were 2 bids, Knife River, $82,000, Anderson Brothers, $40,865, of which our share will be between $30,000 and $35,000. So we're recommending that we approve the payment of that and make the payment after Antlers signing of the agreement. And so that was talked about. The Circle Drive construction, the Circle Drive is in great need of repair. The cabins and everything are so very close there. There's questions on water, and apparently they get their water from the resort now, sewage, etc. And so it was felt that we should invite the people that own cabins on that circle to come and have us and meet with us here at City Hall and see what they how they'd like to handle the improvements. I guess some of the lots are hardly big enough to put a cabin on that are on it. So this summer we're going to have a meeting with those people, and we'll go from there. Lastly, there was the assessment policy review. On secondary roads, and assessment policy on secondary roads. One of the things we talked about was how people are taxed. We had one person here from Osseo Road that had a lot that had 2 roads, and so he felt one was very small, and he was not happy with the way it was taxed. And there are some lots that may even have 3 adjoining roads, if it's on the end of a block, whatever. And so we need to discuss on how we're going to tax these properties. If the main road 100%, the side road 50%.
Just a point of clarification, Mr. Mitchell, you're referring to assessments, not tax.
I'm sorry, assessments. All right, I may have wrote it down wrong here. But anyway, the assessments. How we're going to assess the tax on people that have multiple borders on multiple roads. So that's talked about as well.
Okay, now you mentioned something about approving for the family trailers.
That is a separate agenda item that we have later on tonight.
Oh, okay. Okay, anything else from roads?
No,
That's it. Okay. Gary, anything from planning and zoning?
No, sir.
Becca, anything? Okay. Next item will be administrator and staff reports. Resolution 1220, cost sharing, accepting right of way for ambulance access. That's just what we were talking about for the roads. Excuse me. We do have the agreement signed. You should have a copy of that distributed to you on your desk. So that gives us title to the land. Patrick, do you want to maybe fill us in a little bit more on this one?
Sure.
You have more of the details than I do.
And I apologize that it took so long to get you the actual agreement, but that's part of the process we go through here. Move that away further. But we've given you an agreement, which is a 3-page document, and it talks about it on the 3rd page, an exception. Now, the agreement is signed. There had been some problems with some previous documents getting signed. We have it signed, and on the 3rd page there are 2 descriptions, and on the 4th page is the actual layout. It's titled Sketch and Description. The way this is actually going to work is we're going to be obtaining this land from the property owner, except for a small circular oblong area on the very top northeast corner. You can kind of see that. That is a specific exception that's always been excluded for a sign that's always been there. And that was a long debated topic I don't wish to go into whatsoever. But the idea that will still be excluded, and the agreement itself says that we get possession of this land for essentially $1. I know I say that, and that owner will ask me for that dollar forever, so that's fair though. But what we are getting is a 66-foot right-of-way, or land ownership here, where you can see some of the sketches, that dash line is the existing road, and so now we're going to have full control over what is that existing road. The property owner, in this case Antlers, is going to then realign their access. So it's more of a T intersection, because currently it's a Y intersection. And if the council recalls, this has been discussed a long time, several years, because when you looked at the Suffolk Road project and the Chickadee project before that, you looked at the bigger picture here, and we've been working with the owner in this, and I think it's a good combination of working together about improving the safety of that intersection and improving the appearance of that entire area. So I apologize that this isn't all the exact final document, but the most important document is signed, and we'll get a sketch to go along with it appropriately when I
Right, we
file
need the
it.
engineering drawings and all that kind of stuff too.
Yes, sir.
So, and basically, once we approve the resolution 12-2020 to move this project forward, then we will be starting the engineering and everything.
No, that's all been done. The contractor has been hired through the private company to do the work on their property. They've got 2 bids, talked with the attorney, that's acceptable. Very similar to the project we did when we did the sewer installation for the clinic,
Okay.
where it was done by the private, because he's able to do the whole project. He met all the requirements, and that our cost should be around $34,770, plus or minus depending on any Mount Rushmore that's hidden underneath there.
Right. Okay. So, Resolution 12-2020 is a resolution authorizing the city to pay for our portion of this project that is essentially being done by by White Birch, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So at this time, I will entertain a motion to approve Resolution 12-2020.
Second.
Discussion. Gary?
None.
Becca?
No.
Michael?
I just wanted to simplify what was all said, just because I'm a basic kind of guy.
Right.
Essentially, the road exists today, but the right-of-way for that road is non-existent. This is procuring that road / land, where we do have the road, to now be in their city jurisdiction.
Thank you.
I just want to clarify that, because it took me a while to grasp why we're doing it. It's our road already today, but it's not. So this is now giving us full access to that, so. It's one of those things that I like to simplify things.
That's a really good simplification, and it does help clarify. I understood it because I've been working, with Patrick and been working with this for quite a few years now. So,
I think the most of us would understand it, but
right.
point of
For the general public who's out there in YouTube land, this will be very beneficial for their understanding. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion, Resolution 12-2020 is approved. Next item is we have a offer to donate a lot. It's Lot 17, Block 4, First Edition to Delwood Acres. And it is from a Mrs. Filzen. She wants to donate the property to the city. She actually has 2 lots up there. You can see them highlighted in blue in your packet. The lot that she is proposing to donate this year is the one on the left-hand side, as you visualize it. She actually has 2 lots there, and she's donating it primarily for tax purposes, and she will donate the other lot next year, in 2021. So we do have Resolution 13-2020 to accept the donation of the Lot 17, Block 4, First Edition to Delwood Acres from Dolores Filzen. And I will entertain a motion to that, and then we can have discussion.
So,
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, discussion. Gary, I'll start with you.
None, other than thank you.
Rebecca?
No.
Gary?
I guess not.
Michael?
My question is, great, we can have it donated to us, but what's the purpose for city purpose for owning it?
That's the really question. There's some stuff going on, well, I don't want to say behind the scenes, because Mrs. Felton is eligible. She has never seen the lot. And there's no hope of ever selling that lot for her. And so we've talked with her, Patrick has talked with her. I think it's probably in our best interest to accept the lot and the adjacent lot to it. And that puts 4 lots essentially under our control, because the 2 adjacent lots to the east would be, they're tax forfeit at this property, at this point. So we might be able to do something with the package. But this helps her out, and it gives us an opportunity to have 4 lots to deal with.
So at this point, the city has no intention of doing anything with it, and at a later time, we can go like an RFP that we did with the airport lots?
Very possible, but there is not much land there that is useful.
Is that a steep bank, it looks
Yeah,
like?
very steep bank, goes down into a wetland. And when she purchased, well, her husband purchased the lot, and I think he bought it sight unseen. But when he did buy it, he probably could have put in a whole bunch of fill and put a house there, but that's no longer allowed. She's had these lots for years and years and years. So,
Okay.
any further discussion? All those in favor of accepting the lots, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 13, 2020 is approved, and we will accept the lots, and Patrick will make the appropriate paperwork, things to make that happen. Next item is authorize for applying for a dock grant from Sourcewell. We received a donation from the PLCC, Pelican Lakes Conservation Club, for a new dock at the North Landing, and we also have the opportunity to get a grant from Sourcewell. And we have 2 quotes for a 6-foot by 60-foot metal framed floating dock, as well as a 5-foot by 60-foot aluminum framed composite decked floating dock from Edge Dock. So we are pursuing those 2 vendors to check out their quality. And in parallel with this, we are going to be applying for this grant from Sourcewell. And this would be authorizing going after that grant. Patrick, do we know how much that grant is for?
$2,500.
$2,500? Okay. So it would be for a $2,500 grant from Sourcewell. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the pursuing the grant proposal from Sourcewell for a new boat access dock. So moved. Second. Discussion, Gary?
No. I know 2,500 is not going to buy a 60-foot dock.
Well, we also have this donation from the PLCC that will go along with it.
Was there a figure?
$10,000.
10,000.
Oh, well, that makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Wow. My thanks to them.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor.
And that has been, we also have some money budgeted for it, correct?
We do,
Yep. So,
definitely.
Excellent.
Rebecca, anything?
Nope, I just think it's great that we keep pursuing these grants
Yeah.
when we can.
And the dock that we have right now is pretty inadequate. So, Gary? Michael?
No, thank you to staff for working on the grant.
Yep.
Tom, I thought there was a hand go up over here? No? Okay.
I didn't see it, but then my eyes are not that good. All those in favor of pursuing the grant from Sourcewell for the dock, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? will pursue that, that grant. COVID-19 update. Patrick, this is your baby.
Yeah, it's all mine.
Congratulations.
So you have the memo included in the packet. One of the interesting things when I was talking with a resident last week, I realized our city council has always held their meetings open to the public. We've done some Zoom process, allowing people to be here and rotating people in. We followed the rules, but you guys have always held your meetings where I'm not so certain that any other city in the county can say that. But that's not a pro or con, but because of our space that you guys have provided here, we're able to accommodate that. What I do want to update the council and ultimately have your comments on are the other documents or the other items we've included. We're currently proposing that until August 31st, we will not rent out City Hall. We will not make the library available, and I did speak with the representative, and the Women's Club has talked about that, and they understand that completely with our setup the way it is. Our break room is essentially the library and other things like that. Not renting out council chambers, but we would and still are renting out the pavilions. Right now, the restrooms are being closed at City Hall due to the fact that it's easily accessible to the parking lot and highly visible. The areas where it's not as visible, like the disc golf course, the boat launch, and the swimming beach, we thought it best to put those restrooms out there and available. And by the way, I'm raising this for discussion, so if you at any point want to bring it up or after I'm done, please discuss it. Oh, and we've never had a portable restroom at the fishing pier either. And then finally, we did receive the attached letter from Don Ryan talking about, sorry, for everyone that does not know, Don Ryan is a county attorney. He was talking about in the letter that I've included in your packet, how the county is going to process the governor's Executive Order 2049, which talks about outside seating for restaurants and bars. The way I've talked with our three bar owners or liquor store owners is the fact that we will handle it as an administrative permit. They will submit their plans to the city administrator with the drawings, with their liability insurance, verifying that they have coverage for the additional outside area if they wish to expand. And to date, I will tell you that I did issue one administrative permit this afternoon. The other two indicated that they didn't have an interest in expanding their outside seating areas. With that, I would answer any questions, and feel free to ask me any.
Who got the permit?
JJ's and the commander.
Thank you.
The way I've also worked it out, just so we cover that too, is that if they, I should say there's a benefit to doing it administratively, because the council meets once a month. We could call a special meeting if necessary, but what happens is, let's say, because JJ's and the commander is one facility and they decide that they want to split the seating up 50-50, which isn't what they're doing, but they decide that, oh, no, they want to move more up to the commander for breakfasts or whatever, because that's going to be their hot business. Well, then they might have to wait a whole month to bring it before the city council. By doing it administratively, they are still meeting the code, and they're meeting what I'm identifying as Don Ryan's letter. I will also let you know that 6 days later, the League of Minnesota Cities came out with almost the same verbatim recommendations. So we were out there right away telling our businesses about that. So I'm trying to be more flexible to allow them to change as needed.
I think that's an excellent thing, and my thanks to you for that.
Thank you.
Patrick, when you said expand, if they already have an existing outside area, they don't need,
Two of them have outside seating areas. The other,
Right,
this
right.
one does not.
so you said expand, so it like a place like Billy's wouldn't need this additional permit?
If he wanted to, he would have to expand from his current. He has
Make it
a
bigger.
floor plan
Perfect.
that is interior and exterior, if you wanted to expand that, because of the COVID-19 rules, say you have to be 6 feet
Right.
separation, then we would be willing to take his application and review that and process it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Make sure I was
Good
understanding.
question.
When you're talking about the, go ahead.
But if we're talking about liquor license, we can continue that, otherwise I have another subject. I don't know if you're going to continue
Oh.
on.
Basically, we're talking about the COVID-19 stuff.
Okay.
Okay. We're closing the bathrooms outside here, correct?
They currently are, yes.
Yes. And do we clean and sanitize the portable
No,
bathrooms? Okay.
no, we never clean and sanitize those.
Okay. Would it be possible to have a portable one out here that would be the responsibility of Files or whoever, you know, for cleaning and sanitizing? Just to have one available for the park?
We could do that. That's going to follow up on Michael's comments.
Beat me to it, Mr.
Oh,
Mayor.
I'm sorry.
After reading the COVID-19 update, I immediately started thinking about these restroom situations.
Sure.
And while Patrick brings up valid points that the disc golf course and the beach are kind of in the secluded areas that some people may just feel able to go out in public, the city park is a little bit more open and people might not shy away from that. However, if we look at what the primary users are young children. They cannot hold it, they need to go. So I was under the impression that we could potentially, again, up for council discussion on this, is open those, but put a sign on there saying, you know, these are only cleaned, whatever our daily cleaning is, and to use at your own risk. You know, we're opening it, we're making it available, but we're not taking responsibility of Saturday and Sunday cleanings. We've never done it in the past. Patrick, correct me if I'm wrong, they don't get cleaned on the weekends, but they get cleaned during the weekdays.
Fridays and Mondays for sure, sometimes Wednesdays depending on staff schedule.
Okay. So if we set the schedule saying, you know, these are for sure cleaned on Mondays and Fridays, you know, user beware. I think it's something that we should open up to the public, or go the other route of having an expense of a porta potty out here. But I think with the city facilities here, I think it just needs to be opened and signed that way that it's user beware. Everybody's knowledgeable of what we're going through today, but we need to set the expectations that it's not being sanitized as much as a retail environment may be. That's my opinion.
And that's kind of along the whole line that I was thinking, you know, the easiest route would be have to have a porta potty, and then it's somebody else's responsibility for cleaning it if we didn't want to take that responsibility. But I think what you're saying is having some signage on there. I think that would be acceptable.
You're leaning back, Mayor, and talking.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, that's right. Sorry. Nobody can hear me. That was essentially my thoughts as well, is to have something available primarily for, you know, I guess my youngest kid is like almost 40, so I'm not really in that thought train anymore. Yeah.
I can agree with that, though. I wouldn't be able to take my kids to the park for very long if I knew
Right.
they're 5 and 2,
Yeah.
so.
And
it wouldn't
obviously,
last
you
very
know,
long.
you have that issue.
But even if you tell them to go before we go, they're gonna go.
My 2 cents was, I totally agree with Mr.
Yeah.
Rowan. Totally, we've got to provide some kind of relief there for the people.
Right.
And we just want, it's Files that we would contract with, or somebody. with.
I think it's Files.
Files?
We don't recommend anybody publicly, but we,
I don't know.
Well, that's.
point being that we could open up the restrooms, put a sign on it,
Yeah.
and save the additional cost.
Okay. I mean, if that's acceptable under your, you know,
Yes.
public policy.
Yes.
One question about that, whoever we use, the city uses, I should say. Perhaps, I don't know how often they clean these,
Once a week.
once a week? Will they do it in the middle of the week and twice a week?
They could do it more, yes, is the answer,
It's gonna
but
cost more, but I think that's probably a little better, in my humble opinion.
Well, I think we just put a sign on the you know, the porta potties, you know, these are only cleaned once a week, you know.
Whatever.
Is there hand sanitizers in those?
yes.
All right, and who does the cleaning now?
They do for theirs, we do for the city one at City Hall. For the ones we contract
Porta
for,
potty does the cleaning.
Yeah, okay,
They bring a new one. If-
All at one off.
yeah, okay. It's just important there is
I agree.
hand
So,
sanitizer and stuff available.
Okay, so I think the discussion is that we're not approving the policy, are we, at anything We're just
No,
discussing,
that-
okay.
No,
And so I think the consensus of the city council is that the policy is what we're going to be dealing with, and the only change we would like to see is that the bathrooms for the city park be opened up, and signage on there saying we only clean at minimal.
I'll bet they'll be open tomorrow morning.
Sounds good. I won't use them, but that's okay.
Mr. Mayor, if I may add something to the COVID policy, or at least discuss amongst the council. With these times, we've seen neighboring communities have done something for their local bars and restaurants. Pequot Lake specifically has done a reduction or refund for liquor licenses. I think with today, the governor allowing establishments to reopen in some capacity, I think it warrants at least a discussion on our behalf is if the city of Breezy Point would do something for our establishments here.
Right.
I think it's something that we should deeply consider. The bars and restaurants in the area here are vital to our community, not only to tourism visitors, but to our local, for everybody that lives here. And I think while we're not the one who shut them down, I think we are in the power and the capacity and have the right to be able to help them out. And I think one of the ways is to address the liquor license that they all have paid for the year of 2020. And I would recommend offering a refund on those. They have been closed since middle of March, opening here June 1st in only a portion of the capacity. We don't know when they're going to be open at a full capacity and back to normal. I think it warrants at least a discussion amongst us. I have some ideas, but I want to ping you all and see.
Yeah,
what
I'll
your
just let
beliefs
you
are.
know, I did have a discussion with one of the owners of bars here in Breezy Point. And the difference is primarily the other municipalities, their liquor license runs from July 1st through June 31st, or June 30th, okay? Ours runs January 1st through December 31st, okay? And my proposal was that after all of the dust settles, and we know how much they've actually been shut down, that we would be looking at a reduction of their liquor license for 2021 when it comes up for renewal. And that seemed to be acceptable, at least to the one bar owner that I was talking to about. He was happy that we will be considering it. And at that time, we would know with pretty good hindsight, you know, what their actual damage has been, and we can adjust the liquor license to accommodate that for 2021.
That was a thought that came into my head. Look at discounting the next
And that's
year's
the
license.
ones that you've been seeing, hearing about in the newspaper, those are the ones that are just coming up for renewal right now. And that's why they were talking about the reduction. And essentially, they're doing it for, call it FY 2021, because they're approving it now for half of next year as well.
Understood. Could we potentially offer a refund versus waiting till 2021? Is that something that administratively we can handle and reimburse this year?
Well, then we start getting into budgetary things. Essentially, we're taking it out of our existing budget. We'd have to take money that we've essentially already received and spent. So that would be a little bit more difficult. I would prefer to do it for reduction in 2020, then we have a better idea as to, you know, what the actual time frame is.
Okay.
I'd like to piggyback on that, Mr. Mayor, if I may, and I will turn my attention to the administrator. Can the city afford that? I think it's a good idea myself.
Specifically what, sir?
The refund,
Refund of,
the license fees. I have no idea what it totally is.
it comes down to level of service, and the answer is always yes. It's just to what level of service you want to look at reducing. Because we're received revenues.
How many
Budget.
liquor licenses, on-sale
Okay.
liquor licenses do we submit or have?
We have 3 primary liquor licenses with everything with Sunday on sale. I think the total revenue is somewhere around $16,000
For all on sale?
for all.
For all.
For all, yes, thank you.
But off sale stores have not been closed.
Correct.
My initial thought was on sale, but I guess off sale could be a topic of discussion. But off sale was always eligible to continue to stay open. And those permits for on sale at least, how much are those per year?
I think they're $1,000 off the top of my head.
I've read the on sale are actually doing better than they did before the
Oh,
COVID thing.
I'm sorry.
People were home all the time.
On sale, the liquor license premise on drinking, $2,500 a piece.
2,500 for on sale. For
On
liquor
sale.
Bars. Off sale, liquor stores, yes, they have been doing
Or,
better.
excuse me, off
Yep.
sale. I think I said on sale, off sale. Have actually done better during this COVID thing.
Are you comfortable with the $16,000 hit?
Are you talking about returning the total amount?
That's what I think Councilman Maroney is asking.
No, I
No.
think he's talking about adjusting it.
Well,
That's not what I heard.
while I didn't put a figure on how much to reimburse,
No,
I would say this though, I think we owe it to our establishments in the area that they help out this time.
I agree.
That is, if it's $2,500 for license, it's money in the pocket to help kickstart, it's another stimulus check, if you would.
Thank you very much.
It helps stimulate their business, their employees, helping them kick back into it. The liquor license, of my understanding, is to help with administrative fees, policing. Over the last 2.5 months, plus going in, those administrative fees, policing have been down. They haven't been open. So if we can afford, I know the mayor is indicating to wait until 2021 to address how long they have been closed or at a temporary establishment of, only allowing so many patrons. But I think it just warranted discussion to say, how can we help now?
Totally agree, and I'm much more amenable to a lesser fee, 16,000 is pretty good. Yeah. So I agree with Councilman Maroney.
Yeah, I don't agree with 100% refund, no.
Oh, no.
Okay, so it's
That's
gonna
fine.
be, so it's gonna be proportional, and like right now, it would be maybe about a third at the most.
Why don't you make a motion, Mr. Maroney?
Oh, we're not going to do it right now, at least I wouldn't want to do it right now. I want to get some numbers as to,
Okay,
the
fine.
percentage that we
Sure,
would want.
sure.
And
Excellent.
we could discuss it as an agenda item for next month,
Thank you.
I
okay?
think it'd be nice to talk to the other owners too. I would prefer to wait to 2021 too, to assess the entire year and have an appropriate, allocation then.
That was
or,
my impression.
to help them for 2021. That's my opinion, but I think it would be helpful to talk to all the other owners to see what would be helpful to them, because I know they have other things that the government is giving them now that may or may not be helping them, so maybe 2021 would be better to have, some additional help then.
Totally agreed. Let's do the fact checking and roll the dice next month.
Okay. We'll consider that, we can talk about that next month. Okay. Our last item is advertising for Public Works position. We do have one employee that is going to be retiring later on, and so we would like to start looking at getting in a replacement eventually for when he retires. So what is, basically, we're just looking for concurrence to start advertising, Patrick.
Yeah, historically, the city council has waited till we received the letter of resignation, giving us 2 weeks' notice, because again, we talk about the council meetings being once a month. It may happen not concurrently or with the meetings, and we'd like authorization to go ahead and start advertising for a position. We feel there may be one employee that's talked to me specifically about potentially leaving out of state, and then we have the pending retirement also. So like to start advertising. Hopefully we'll get some good applicants. We can use both. We can hire 2 maybe, potentially. But this would not be to assist at the cemetery. This is just to maintain the current status
hear ya.
quo of service provided.
I heard that loud and clear.
So we're looking for like a motion.
Authorization just to go ahead and advertise.
I'd make that motion.
Second.
To approve.
Okay, further discussion, Michael? Gary? Becca? Gary?
We haven't decided yet.
You haven't decided.
How long does it take how technical are these jobs, and how long does it take to train an individual in?
Really depends on the level of people that we get, and we've been very lucky, knock on some wood somewhere around here, and then that we've had good candidates and the training hasn't been as difficult. We've been able to hire some that are well experienced. Not sure with the environment that we're in, what interest people have in moving. There may be a lot of people that are unemployed and that look at a city job as a very good job, that have good experience, and so it really depends on the level of quality. What we're looking at is, it takes us a week just to create the ad, make sure the job description is current, then we advertise for a couple weeks, then we put together the interviewing. By that time, you're almost 5 to 6 weeks out. This person may say, well, I'm going to be gone before that, and so that's why we're trying to expedite the process.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. All those in favor of authorizing the advertising for public works position, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That concludes our agenda items for the public. We are now going to be going into closed session for the annual performance review of our city administrator. So at this point, we will basically